With that very auspicious sound of the Shank, on behalf of Namita Gokhale, William Dalrymple, and all my colleagues at Teamwork and the Diggy family, welcome to the 12th Z Jaipur Literature Festival. In 1726, this Diggy space was created, and I don't think at that point of time the Diggy ancestors quite realized what a contribution that this palace would make, not just to the city of Jaipur, but to India and the world in its contribution to culture and literature. Each year, we gather here, bringing together writers and speakers from across the world and across India to celebrate, to talk, to debate, to discuss, and most importantly, perhaps, to create a space for dissent. In our extremely divisive world, where there seems to be either one or the other truth, there is very little space left for those people who have a contrarian point of view. Why do we respect writers so much? Because writers define for us our present. They look at the past and make sense of it. They reflect on it. And they look into the crystal glass of the future and perhaps put in place a vision, not just for us as individuals, but for all of mankind. Literature lives on way beyond we will. And it is important for each one of us to thank all our speakers who've traveled from different parts of the world to be with us here today. On behalf of Jaipur, thank you so much to all of you for being here. 12 years ago, on a cold winter morning, Namita, William, myself, Faith and John Singh gathered at the Diggy Darbar Hall wondering whether we would get even 170 people to come to the festival. 12 years later, we welcome over these 5 days 500,000 people who come to the festival. Many of you have traveled from afar, from New Zealand and Australia, Boulder, Colorado, and the Berkeley Bay Book Festival, from Canada, from Africa, from really across the world. Thank you. We do know that it takes a huge effort to come here, to celebrate with us, and join this conversation that we need to take across the world. 81% of our visitors are below the age of 30. And for those of you who think that young people don't read, young people are not engaged, young people are only interested in social media, you will be delighted to know that last year, our youngest writer inspired by the festival was 13 years old. This year, our youngest writer being presented at the festival is 10 years old and had been coming to the festival for the last 5 years. Day before yesterday, in an awards ceremony where I was presenting awards at the Kanoria Women's College, there was a young boy who came up on stage to ask me to release his book. He was 7 years of age. I was puzzled. In fact, when I was told that this was happening, I'm being ambushed again. And then I saw the book. And I couldn't believe that it was a book written by somebody who's 7 years of age. The illustrations, the writing. And the mother came to me later and showed me his diary where he had written this story. Incredible. More and more we find that people are being influenced by the writing, by this festival. We welcome people from across India. Many of you may know this wonderful story when we realized the festival had become successful. Security had just been put into place in Diggy 4 years into the festival, and I was standing as I do, receiving people for an hour every morning. And this gentleman and his son walked through the Diggy Haveli gate, and they were stopped because they didn't look like they belonged. And because I was there, I went up and I said, "Can I help you?" And he said, "You know, I sleep on the pavement across, opposite the SMS hospital. And I know I'll never be able to send my son to school, nor buy him a book. But if I thought that if he heard a story, it would change his life forever. And that's the reason I brought him, and I'm really sorry." That for us is really the essence of this festival. 5 years ago, again, standing at the circle, a tall gentleman came to me and he said, "I come from a village 40 kilometers away from Gorakhpur in the heart of Uttar Pradesh, one of the northern states of India." He said, "I've heard about the festival, I've come to experience it." A few years later, when he came back with other villagers from in and around his area. And in each of those 6 villages, they had set up a book club to share books that they had taken from here in different languages. We forget in the hurly-burly of making money, in the hurly-burly of everyday life, what the arts actually means and what the arts represents. The arts represents and is a window into another world, another philosophy, another history, and allows us perhaps to ensure that all of these people who we think are the other, all of these people who we are made to fear as the other, we're able to understand them, experience them, read them, and celebrate them. Finally, we're all human beings. It doesn't matter what religion, nor color, nor caste, nor country. It doesn't matter what boundaries divide us. Literature is able to elevate us and transport us into another world. So thank you all for making this possible. All our sponsors, all our supporters, all our 4,000 people who bring this festival and make it together, and all my colleagues, the police in Rajasthan, the family of Diggy, and each one of you. Join me in inaugurating this festival. And before that, just to tell you what an amazing group of people have been brought together. Our co-festival director, publisher, and writer, whose 2 new books are going to be presented here at the festival. Please welcome Festival Director Namita Gokhale.
जी जयपुर लिटरेचर फेस्टिवल की 12वीं कड़ी में आप सबका स्वागत है। साहित्य का ये कुंभ भी अपनी जगह में एक होम, एक यज्ञ, एक मंथन है। विश्व भर के लेखक और बुद्धिजीवी अपनी बात कहने और रखने यहाँ आते हैं। मैं देख सकती हूँ कि यहाँ केवल भारत के ही नहीं, विदेश से भी हर उम्र के, हर स्तर के साहित्य प्रेमी मौजूद हैं। जयपुर की हवा में और डिगी पैलेस की हरियाली भरे वातावरण में कुछ बात ही ऐसी है कि गद्य और पद्य, दर्शन और विवाद सब यहाँ जागरूक होते हैं। आने वाले दिनों में हम कई विषयों पर चर्चा करेंगे। पाणिनि की व्याकरण शास्त्र, आदि शंकराचार्य की जीवनी से लेकर आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस और जेनेटिक्स की बातें होंगी। त्रिमूर्ति समानक भूतकाल और भविष्य को हम तत्काल के नज़रियों से देखेंगे और समझेंगे। हमारे ये मंच शुरू से ही बहुभाषी रहा है। भारतीय भाषाओं के दिग्गज और युवा लेखक हमारे साथ शामिल हैं। कई अंतर्राष्ट्रीय भाषाओं के स्वर भी यहाँ गूंजेंगे। राजस्थानी भाषा और राष्ट्रभाषा की अस्मिता और भाषा की राजनीति के विषय को भी छेड़ेंगे। विचारों की अभिव्यक्ति, बोलने सुनने की स्वतंत्रता और रचनात्मक समन्वय आपका समक्ष प्रस्तुत होगा। जी जयपुर लिटरेचर फेस्टिवल 2019 का जज्बा हमेशा की तरह निष्पक्ष और लोकतांत्रिक रहेगा। आशा है कि जयपुर की इस कथा सरित सागर में सुर मिले, शब्दों और विचारों की शक्ति बढ़े। नमस्कार। अब अंग्रेजी में ज़रा समझाऊंगी इस कड़ी में क्या हम पेश कर रहे हैं। Dear friends, lovers of literature, I'm delighted to be back with all of you in the lawns of Diggy Palace. I would like to begin by invoking Shiva, the Lord of life and death and creation, Satyam Shivam Sundaram, the true, the transformative, and the beautiful. There is no art without beauty. There is no beauty without joy, and there is no joy without freedom. We are witnessing a unique literary moment in India, where grassroots and contemporary writing in the 22 national languages is finding voice and visibility and becoming increasingly accessible to readers. Translations are at last being given the importance they deserve, and publishers and literary prizes are mainstreaming them as never before. The many marvelous literature festivals across India and South Asia are nurturing creative bonds, helping to build a true literary community that is diverse, inclusive, multilingual. And our many international editions in Boulder, in Houston, in New York, in the British Library in London, in Adelaide, all these remain rooted and local to that place, and yet they reach out and connect globally to writers and artists everywhere. We are each other's stories. The human race has evolved and progressed through shared knowledge and intertwined narratives. This year, we have an emphasis on the scientific temper and empirical thinking, as well as on genetics, artificial intelligence, and what the future holds for our planet. In a while, Nobel laureate Sir Venki Ramakrishnan will deliver an opening address on the importance, the crucial importance of science and the scientific temper. Later, the eminent cosmologist Priyamvada Natarajan will speak of mapping the heavens. Science fiction on the post-human future, climate fiction on the unimaginable consequences of a world without bees. Toby Walsh on artificial intelligence and how the future is now. We have music, poetry, and the arts. Different aspects of myth and memory and religion, Sita to the Gita, Radha to Shyam. We address the historical imagination, interrogate rural distress, and think aloud about migration and identity. Sven Beckert and Patrick French take us to the roots of global capitalism with the empire of cotton. The great Hindi writer Narendra Kohli will speak of how he has reinterpreted the ancient Indian epics in the Kali Yuga. Unique literary voice of Uday Prakash takes us on the road not taken. Noted Dalit writers, including Shivraj Singh Bechen, Desraj Kali, Manoranjan Vyapari, Ramesh Patange, and Kancha Elaya, will talk about their political convictions, Manuvad and modernity, and the many dimensions of transformative Dalit literature. We have sessions on our vibrant democracy, where former election commissioners S.Y. Qureshi and Naveen Chawla will both launch their new books, even as the world's largest democracy prepares for the 17th general election. We have also witnessed many upheavals and changes in the struggle for gender equity, from the landmark judgment on Section 377 to the watershed moment of the Me Too movement. Our program reflects these concerns and issues. A very special welcome to Germaine Greer, to Mary Beard, and to iconic emblems of empowerment from around the world. We also interrogate the creative process with writers like Andrew Sean Greer and Anita Nair, reflecting on writing about writing. The Jaipur bookmark is embedded in the heart of festival, and it helps create collaborations and give us synergies between and across South Asia. And a special honor to have Jürgen Boos, the CEO of the Frankfurt Book Fair, discussing the place of books in our planet. 5 years ago, I referred to our festival as the Mahakumbh of Literature. That was the year of the last Mahakumbh, India's largest and greatest pilgrimage. Both the Ardhakumbh and the Jaipur Literature Festival return again this January, celebrating words and worship in their different ways. And now that's from me. And as you know, my co-director, William Dalrymple, is not with us due to family reasons. I'm going to read out some of the thoughts he'd wish to share today. Not the whole speech, because I don't have the stature and personality of William, but I'll tell you about some of the special sessions he had chosen to mention. And he has put together a wonderful set of sessions which you will enjoy over the next few days. He says, I've gathered talent from across the globe, from Egypt to Mexico, Italy to South Africa. We welcome art historian Sir Roy Strong, the cookery writer Claudia Rodin, the paleoanthropologist Daniel Lieberman, as well as the acclaimed geneticist David Reek. We import some of the world's most admired novelists, including Man Booker Prize winners Yann Martel and Ben Okri, Pulitzer Prize winners Colin Whitehead and Andrew Sean Greer, who I had mentioned earlier, Irvin Welsh, the legendary author of Trainspotting, and the author of Call Me By Your Name, Andre Acheman. We also welcome back our first ever international novelist, Hari Kunzru, who first came to speak in Jaipur way back in 2006, as well as, of course, Ruth Bedell, who is also an old Jaipur friend of Jaipur. We delve deeply into areas of world literature we have so far failed to explore, notably novelists and poets of Zimbabwe, Nigeria, Iran, and Lebanon. In the age of Trump, we examine the post-American world with distinguished commentators Steve Cole, Peter Bergen, Sanjeev Sanyal, and John Lee Anderson. We discuss the horror pandemics in a session on the fog, the smog, and the flu, very pertinent now. We will probe the writings of literary biographies from Hemingway to V.S. Naipaul and Saul Bellow. We'll explore a wide range of subjects, from the history of tugs to the rise of the Nazis, dive deep into the story of shipwrecks, and look at the violent suppression of the Knights Templars and the pleasures of medieval manuscripts. We share the agonies of the Egyptian Revolution, Irish Troubles, and the Sri Lanka Civil War. We also examine the mysteries of Indian magic, go undercover with the CIA on the trail of Al-Qaeda, and learn about the Romanov Tsars and ancient Rome. It's going to be an incredible few days. And so, on behalf of William Dalrymple and myself, and I must make mention of our wonderful programming team of Kritika, Sukhman, Anubhav, on behalf of all of us who've worked very hard to amuse, entertain, and to also elevate your thinking over the next few days. Welcome, thank you for being here.
Thank you very much, Namita. May I please invite the Minister of Art, Culture and Literature, P.D. Kalaji, to join us on stage to light the lamp. May I also please invite our lead sponsor, our great supporters for the last 6 years, Puneet Mishra, the CEO of Domestic Broadcast Business. May I invite our inspiration and the person who's behind the revival of art and culture in Jaipur, Faith Singh. Rima Ahuja, will you please join us as well? Nobel laureate Sri Venki Ramakrishnan, our keynote speaker today. Ruth Patel, may I please ask you to join us on stage? And the Diggi family, Jyotika and Ram Pratap, please join us on stage. please invite Puneet Mishra, the CEO of Domestic Broadcast Business, to speak on behalf of Z.
Very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable Minister for Culture, Mr. B.D. Kala, esteemed dignitaries, my friends. It is an honor and a privilege for us at Z, and for me personally, to be a part of the 12th edition of the Jaipur Literature Festival. कहते हैं कि सुबह का भूला अगर शाम को घर लौट आए तो उसे भूला नहीं कहते. One who loses his way in the morning but then finds the abode by the evening can't really be said to be lost. मैंने वो भूल की है. I have made that mistake because despite Z being connected to the festival for so many years, this happens to be my first visit here. From the world that I come from, when we craft new stories and characters for television, we spend significant time and energy in envisaging the physical surroundings and locales that the story will be set in, with a view that it must accentuate the story and its telling. This beautiful Diggi Palace, so much a part of the experience that is the Jaipur Lit Fest, best exemplifies how a marvelous setting adds to its own charm and flavor to the tale, adding to the imprint it leaves on people's minds. These luscious green lawns, the regal structure, and the warm hospitality takes the experience to the sublime. The fact that nearly 100,000 people visit the festival every day and the palace and its grounds warmly embrace each and every visitor as an honored guest truly adds to the delightful experience for everyone. I wish to thank everyone at Diggi Palace for their gracious hosting of the festival here. I would like to applaud Namita, Sanjoy, and William, who unfortunately is not here due to some personal circumstances, for putting what promises to be another outstanding edition of ZJLF. As one reads through the schedule, you can't help but wish if there was a technology which existed which would allow you to be at multiple places at the same time. Such is the curation of the events here. At any point of time over these 5 days, I believe there's something interesting and exciting lined up for us. And while it's 5 days of the festival for us, for the team managing the show, it's a labor of love for the full 360 days. It is the immaculate planning and fine selection of the world's best names which makes the festival the big draw that it is. And the team has outdone its own past record, as you shall discover in the next 5 days. Let's put our hands together for the team and give them a loud cheer for all of them, the festival directors, the volunteers, and the members of Team Works. The word team, in my book, truly means together, everybody achieves more. I also want to thank the members of the media present here for your remarkable role in taking the festival to the world. The atmosphere is electric and the excitement is contagious. The success of any festival depends, of course, on the people who are on the stage, the engaging platform, the literary giants who grace the festival. A real force multiplier where the true heart of the festival beats and booms resides in the patrons who join to participate, listen, applaud, and not to forget, hopefully open their wallets to buy some books. It is the time in abundant love showered by each one of you for the written word on this literary festival, which makes it truly the greatest literary show on earth. As the famous lines, made very memorable by a certain Mr. Shroff on a bumpy plane ride in the epic film Border. चमन में इख्तिलाते रंगे बू से बात बनती है, हम ही हम हैं तो क्या हम हैं, तुम ही तुम हो तो क्या तुम हो. In a garden, it's the coming together of color and fragrance that creates the magic. What beauty is it, me and myself alone? What greatness it is, you and yourself alone. So really a big applause for everyone who takes time out to be here with us. So thank you for being the real strength behind ZJLF. On behalf of the team Z, our chairman, Dr. Subhash Chandra, and our MD and CEO, Mr. Puneet Goenka, I take this opportunity to thank each one of you. I'd like to spend a minute or two to share why we at Z thrive in being an integral part of this festival. Right since it's our inception as a brand and business, as a people's brand, Z always struck a beautiful connect with the hearts of our viewers. Whenever one meets viewers in any part of the world, any part of the country, in our consumer outreach program, people fondly share with us how our shows for the last 25 years, shows like Tara, Banegi Apni Baat, Sailab, or our recent ones like Ish Subhanallah, they have not just entertained them, but they have resonated with their beliefs and their culture. Ladies and gentlemen, the rich culture and traditions which our nation is blessed with are our most important asset, and we at Zee proudly cherish these precious jewels. We narrate stories through our characters which somewhere deeply connect with our core beliefs and value systems of our audiences. And we narrate these stories in their language, in their dialect, in their accent. The protagonists of our shows become like family members for our viewers. We would never be able to do this if we didn't have with us the many, mostly unknown writers and creators who are deeply connected to their roots and live and breathe the viewer and their culture. It is this one reason that our channels, especially the multiple language channels we have across the country, have earned the love of our viewers who shower it upon us by spending the most valuable possession they have, their time. Our association with a festival like this is just a reaffirmation of our faith in the written word and our gratitude to all the great craftsmen, whether discovered and well celebrated, or the aspiring ones seeking a platform to celebrate their craft. I would like to urge each one of you to make the most of the upcoming 5 days and the evenings. While the days are packed with sessions of our favorite authors and thinkers, some of the best musical and art performances await you in the evenings as well. May I end with these famous words of Benjamin Franklin. Let's all write something worth reading or do something worth writing. Thank you very much. Enjoy the festival.
A few days ago, post New Year's, I came to Jaipur to meet with the new government, and it was an honor to go to the house of our present Minister of Culture, Art and Literature, Dr. B.D. Kala. It was amazing to know that he's been interested and involved in the arts. He was responsible for creating the JKK, which is today our partner as well. May I invite you, sir, to say a few words? Aiye.
नमस्कार। या देवी सर्वभूतेषु विद्यारूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः। माँ शारदा के चरणों में वंदन करते हुए मैं अपनी बात प्रारंभ करता हूँ। अभी आपने देखा दीप ज्योति जलाकर हमने इस कार्यक्रम को प्रारंभ किया। इसके बारे में संस्कृत में एक श्लोक है, शुभम करोति कल्याणम आरोग्यम धन संपदा शत्रु बुद्धि विनाशाया दीपक ज्योति नमोस्तुते। इसका अर्थ ये है कि दीपक जलाने से शुभ होता है, मंगल होता है, कल्याण होता है और आरोग्य बढ़ता है सबका। और कोई इस कार्यक्रम से शत्रु बुद्धि रखता है तो उसका विनाश हो जाता है। इसलिए हम दीपक ज्योति को नमस्कार करते हैं। जयपुर लिटरेचर फेस्टिवल जी के सहयोग से हो रहा है। मैं सबसे पहले सम्मानीय संजय रॉय जी, पुनीत मिश्रा जी, नमिता जी और एस्टीम डिग्नेटरीज, distinguished guests, writers and ladies and gentlemen, मैं सबसे पहले कुछ शब्द हिंदी में बोलूँगा, फिर अंग्रेजी में कुछ बात आपसे करूँगा। देखिए, संगीत साहित्य कला विहीना साक्षात पशुपुच्छ विषाणहीना। संगीत साहित्य और कला के बिना व्यक्ति एक पशु के समान, बिना सींग वाले पशु के समान होता है। हमारे पूरे विश्व में साहित्यकारों ने, कवियों ने, लेखकों ने मेहनत करके और बहुत ही अच्छा साहित्य और संस्कृति हमको दी है। मैं हमारी संसद में जब जाता हूं तो उसके संसद के पटल पर एक ऋग्वेद की ऋचा लिखी है, अयम निज परो वेति गणनाम लघुचेत साम उदार चरितानाम वसुदेव कुटुंबकम। इसका अर्थ ये है कि तुम्हारा हमारा, मेरा तेरा, ये हमारी संस्कृति नहीं है। हमारी संस्कृति विशाल चरित्र वाली है, जिसमें सारा संसार एक कुटुंब की तरह है। अंतर्राष्ट्रीय भाईचारा, इंटरनेशनल ब्रदरहुड को फैलाने वाली हमारी संस्कृति है, उसको हम सब सलाम करते हैं। इस फेस्टिवल में, जिसको संस्कृति का कुंभ भी कहा जाता है, यहाँ पर कई कहानियाँ घड़ी जाएंगी और अदब की बातें की जाएंगी। बहुत से ऐसी इबारतें लिखी जाएंगी जो आने वाले पीढ़ी के लिए, नई पीढ़ी के लिए एक बहुत ही उपयोगी सिद्ध होगी, प्रेरणादायी होगी। आज नई पीढ़ी को संस्कार सिखाने की ज़रूरत है, नई पीढ़ी को अच्छा नागरिक बनाने की ज़रूरत है। इस प्रकार के लिटरेचर फेस्टिवल से नए लेखक तैयार होंगे। मुझे जैसा संजय रॉय जी अपने स्पीच में बता रहे थे कि यहाँ 7 वर्ष, 10 वर्ष, 15 वर्ष के बच्चे अच्छे राइटर्स हैं। ये सब इस फेस्टिवल का परिणाम है कि हमारे यहाँ पर किस तरीके से लोग आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। देखिए, उत्पादन की विधाओं में जब परिवर्तन होता है तो उसको सभ्यता कहते हैं। जैसे पहले लोग हल बैल से खेती करते थे, फिर ट्रैक्टर्स आए, इक्विपमेंट्स आए, और आज संस्कृति जो है हमारी लोक संगीत, नृत्य कला, संगीत कला, म्यूजिक, हमारे रिचुअल्स, त्योहार, ये सारे हमारे जो है संस्कृति से संबंधित है। तो इस लिटरेचर फेस्टिवल में इन सभी बातों के ऊपर राइटर्स अपने अपने अलग अलग विचार रखेंगे। जैसा मुझे बताया, लगभग 350 से ऊपर सेशन होंगे और दुनिया के विशेषज्ञ, दुनिया भर से यहाँ के लोग आए हुए हैं। मैं उनका सबका अपनी ओर से और सरकार की ओर से हार्दिक स्वागत और अभिनंदन करता हूँ और उनके उज्जवल भविष्य की इन शब्दों में कामना करता हूँ। सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामया, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, माँ कश्चित् दुःख भाग् भवेत्। आप सबका मंगल हो, सब सुखी रहें, निरोग रहें और उत्तरोत्तर प्रगति के पथ पर आगे बढ़ते रहें। Now I would like to say few words in English. Good morning to all of you, especially my compliments to the enthusiastic young gathering participating in this literature festival. To share their ideas and sentiments, I too have my own curiosities and questions to communicate and share with the enlightened intellectuals. My opening statement must be about the growing popularity of Jaipur Literature Festival. This distinguished happening has earned a phenomenal success in the intellectual field. We are proud about it and we have started to love it. The question uppermost in my mind is, what is the relationship between literature and culture? To my mind, literature is an art that uses language as a means to shape an image, to reflect social life and to express the author's feelings. The first instance of human feeling expressed in words was oral literature, generally linked to music, in poetry that could be sung. Extremity of pain or joy, especially extreme pain and suffering, compels human heart to come out with some beautiful words. It is said that the first poetic lines thousands of years ago came out spontaneously from the mouth of Valmiki when he saw the Nisad killing the cronch bird and the companion mate bird weeping silently. माँ निषाद, वियोगी होगा पहला कवि, आज से उपजा होगा गान, निकल कर आँखों से चुपचाप वही होगी कविता अनजान. The great epics, Mahakavya, Khandakavya are mostly the natural and spontaneous outcome of pain and human tragedy. Valmiki and Homer in the ancient times, Shakespeare's Hamlet The Prince of Denmark, Milton's Paradise Lost, Math Gupta's Saket, Jai Shankar Prasad's Kamaini are some of the prominent examples. The list is long and the learned audience know more about it. Modern literature usually divides itself into four categories: poetry, fiction, prose, and drama. It is a welcome innovation that writers have started to include the folklore and rural songs as part of our rich literary treasure. Culture is a social phenomenon. It is the product of long-term creation. At the same time, it is also a historical phenomenon. It is the total accumulation of social history, geography, customs, traditions, and ways of life. Culture is also our day-to-day behavior and our interpersonal communication. Culture is reflected in our modes of thinking, in the established values of our nation, in the socio-economic pattern, in our institutional political structure, and in our deeply rooted psychological responses and reactions. And most importantly, in our social and family practices, culture is also an integral part of our creative efforts and our artistic ways, which is commonly called our aesthetic sense and our etiquette. Relationship between culture and religion is a very long and detailed study that requires separate discussion. Culture and power and politics is also an interesting, important and useful subject for detailed discussion, and I think some learned speakers in this festival will make good contribution in this area. The most significant character that we find about Indian culture progress and expansion is its being one of the most ancient and widely recognized shape. We have a huge load of valuable cultural tradition on our soldiers and on our mind. Some of the times in that heavy burden include highly precious contents like unity in variety and universal brotherhood, so important and valuable that we can never think of surrendering them. But at the same time, we have been very laboriously carrying some unnecessary extra items like superstitions and unscientific blind faith, untouchability, and social classification, etc. And they become serious hurdles in our cultural progress. So at the end of my talk, I would leave this question with the learned participants and the enlightened audience. Should we make a careful research and study about the customs, traditions, and way of life in order to preserve the real and substantial culture treasure and drop the unnecessary items from the heavy load and make our socio-cultural journey more comfortable and more successful? Thanks to all of you for giving me time. And अंत में मैं कहना चाहूँगा विवेकानंद जी के अनुसार अवेक अराइज एंड स्टॉप नॉट टिल द गोल इज रीच. उठो, जागो और तब तक मत रुको जब तक लक्ष्य की प्राप्ति नहीं हो. लक्ष्य हमारा ये है, इस फेस्टिवल के माध्यम से हम अंतर्राष्ट्रीय भाईचारे को बढ़ावा दें. थैंक यू वेरी मच.
Thank you very much, Minister. We would love you to release the brochure of the festival, which has been beautifully designed by Mani Suri. Namita, Minister, if you can both release the... Namita? If you can both release the brochure. Yes. Thank you very much, Minister. The program is available for sale in most of the festival bookstores. May I introduce your festival venue manager, Kat, to come and introduce the keynote speakers.
It's It's my great pleasure to announce the first Cell on Earth, a poetry recitation by poet and conservationist Ruth Patel. Ruth Patel is the professor of King's College London, a fellow of the Zoological Society of London and the Royal Society of Literature. Her books include Tigers in Red Weather on Tiger Conservation, Where the Serpent Lives, a novel featuring king cobras, and most recently, Emerald, which explores the life and death of her naturalist mother, Darwin's great-granddaughter. Please join me in giving a very warm round of applause to Ruth Patel.
Well, good morning. It's a very great honor to be speaking at the greatest literary festival on earth. And I'm going to read you two poems. The first is called Jaipur. I wrote it after coming here 2 years ago. I was thrilled to be coming, not only in order to read poems to 100,000 people, but also because I was researching a book on emeralds. Emeralds which stand for green, for hope, for renewal. And then my 97-year-old mother in England was suddenly rushed to hospital. What could I do? I, of course, said I would stay with my mother. But, well, if there are 100,000 of you here, I don't know how many of you have ever really won an argument with your mother. I never did. And she was a scientist herself. She valued knowledge, she valued research, she valued the work of all her children. She said, Ruth, you must go. I will be fine. She was not fine. We knew it would only be a matter of weeks. But I had to do what I was told. And so I came. And I do want to thank all the people in Jaipur who looked after me at that time. I was, of course, very worried. And I want to remind you that Jaipur is not only a great festival and a wonderful city, it is also full of very kind people. And I do have to tell you that the end, when it came, was very gentle. Jaipur. I can't go to India, I said, with you in this state. Don't be silly. How can I go to Rajasthan through fog-bound Delhi and a 6-hour change of plane with an exploding aneurysm hanging like the sword of Damocles in your back? She argued. She insisted she would be okay. But how did I know I'd see her again? In the chaotic traffic of Jaipur, taxis on strike, taking an auto rickshaw to the old bazaar, pink-walled alleys, color of embers in a fading sky, filling up with motorbikes, a hanging alphabet of export surplus shirts, and rhesus macaques running over red-tiled roofs in rubber masks. By the postern to the emerald dealer's yard, a baby monkey slid down a lamppost like a fireman and dashed across the street. She would have cheered him on. By the postern to the emerald dealer's yard, the cutter in his tucked-away white desk with a fluoride swing light. Emeralds, he said, are all about light. Had a milky eye, like a moonstone, something wrong since birth. He took linen pouches of raw gems out of hidden panels in the wall and poured them in my hand, while the dealer told the emerald story of his town. Owners, brokers, the old Jain trading castes, and emerald cutters, most of them Muslim. For hope can be found the other side of pain. Green is the color of paradise. And for 500 years, the Mughal emperors ordered enormous stones up from obscure shafts beneath the carbon heart of the Andes. Pink City became Emerald City, adept in the unique cutting properties of emerald, the only stone in which the Thank you so much. Well, it's also an enormous pleasure and honor to be reading just before hearing the great scientist Sir Venki Ramakrishnan. And I looked up his work a little bit, and I think a lot of it centers on what is inside the living cell, where the genetic information that all our lives and bodies depend on is stored. So I thought I would read the first of a sequence I wrote on the genetics of the cell. It is called the first cell because no one knows how it first got here, not Sir Richard Dawkins nor Stephen Hawkins, how it got here, whether it came from under the sea or miraculously sort of created itself in the atmosphere or came from outer space. But the first thing it did when it got here was to multiply itself and spread. And that is really the beginning and the first form of migration on which all our lives depend. Life began with migration, and migration began with life. And the first thing nearest to it in our world today, the only thing near it like this now, is blue-green algae. So this is really a little hymn to blue-green algae, where we all came from. The first cell on Earth, born in a deep sea vent, synthesized by lightning in a reducing atmosphere, or carried here by meteorite. We are all from somewhere else. Algae, first self-multiplying molecule on Earth, pulls carbon from organic substrate, performs the world's first magic, photosynthesis of air to oxygen, and creates copies of herself, uncountable as starlings flocking, or the pure gold bricks Sheba sent to Solomon by mule. Cell, in the air, on the rocks. Song, hoping to be heard in a heart cut open. Little blue-green, dreaming of pattern and form. Tiny horsemen of apocalypse. Thank you so much.
Please join me in thanking Ruth Patel. And now it's my pleasure to announce this morning's keynote address, The Role of Science in Today's World, with Nobel laureate Sir Venki Ramakrishnan. Sir Venki Ramakrishnan shared the 2009 Nobel Prize in Chemistry for uncovering the structure of the ribosome. He is a senior scientist at Cambridge University in the MRC Laboratory of Molecular Biology. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Sir Venki Ramakrishnan.
Good morning. It's a great honor to be asked to give this talk. I've long been a scientist and have now written my first book for the general reader, although whether it falls into the fiction or non-fiction category will be a matter of debate. Being here today gives me an opportunity to talk across the divide between the humanities and sciences that have plagued many societies for a very long time, and since long before C.P. Snow wrote his essay about the two cultures. Even today, you can imagine the scene at a party where I'm asked what I do. I'm a scientist. I can already see the first signs of panic and disengagement. What kind, they ask politely. I'm a molecular biologist. I study how information in our genes is used to make proteins. Oh, that sounds fascinating and terribly clever. I'm afraid I was never good at science or maths. I know nothing at all about it. The conversation quickly moves on to the latest novel they've read or concert they've attended. Now imagine the reverse. Suppose I said, oh, I really know nothing about literature, arts, or music. The same people who proudly proclaim their ignorance about science and maths would consider me an uncivilized bore. In fact, all of us should enjoy science and mathematics, which are as much a triumph of human achievement and as much a part of our culture as history, literature, art, and music. To see this, just imagine if you were able to travel just 200 years back and explain to the smartest people of the time that we knew how hereditary information was coded in molecules. We knew how species evolved. We knew how antibiotics could cure long-standing diseases. We knew details of how the universe began and how the behavior of matter at the atomic level is incredibly counterintuitive, but that as a result, we're not able to not only talk to people on a different continent, but actually see them while doing so. They would be in awe of us and think of us as magicians. Art, literature, and science are all ways of capturing essential truths about the world. But science has some distinctive aspects encapsulated in the Royal Society's motto, nullius in verba, which is to say, on nobody's word. In science, it doesn't matter who you are or where something is written, but an idea is accepted because it is testable by experiments that can be reproduced by anyone, anywhere in the world with the required training and expertise. Science itself has existed for centuries, but this particular aspect of science took root as a result of the Enlightenment in Europe and the freedom it fostered to think and speak out against authority. The resulting explosion of knowledge in the Industrial Revolution meant that Europe and later America quickly overtook China and India, which had dominated the world's GDP for centuries. Those who ascribe the wealth of Europe purely to colonization, obviously colonization had many evils, but those who ascribe it purely to colonization might consider the fact that Sweden, Switzerland, and Germany were among the richest countries in Europe around 1900 and had essentially no colonies, whereas countries like Portugal and Spain that were not scientifically advanced were not well off despite their very large colonies. It was objective scientific and technical knowledge that created wealth and does so even today. Today, countries that are resource poor but knowledge rich do very well. Switzerland and Singapore are classic examples. Whereas countries that are resource rich and knowledge poor are not economically well off. Knowledge doesn't just lead to economic prosperity, it also has deep consequences for our well-being. For example, life expectancy hardly changed over centuries. Someone living around 1800 would have had the same life expectancy as at the time of Buddha or Christ. But in the last century alone, life expectancy has doubled due to advances in science and medicine. Today, science is more important than ever. We live in a world in which science and technology are ubiquitous. Decisions are constantly made by governments, corporations, educators, and others that affect us in profound ways? Can we use energy as we do in the modern world without risking destruction of the environment? Can we feed a growing global population? Should we change a person's genetic makeup to prevent or cure disease? How do we keep our privacy and security in an increasingly digital world? We also need to recognize when people use scientific language to propagate nonsense without any evidence. When faced with these issues, we as citizens should be able to ask, how good is the evidence and how valid is the underlying science? How are we to judge the reliability of science itself? In an era of fake news where even the existence of objective truth is questioned, there is much at stake. Science, with its insistence on evidence-based facts, offers a counter to some of the threats today. And we scientists must do better to bridge the divide between the two cultures. Science is simply the systematic accumulation of knowledge based on evidence. In fact, we're all born scientists, and as children, we're intensely curious about the world around us. We constantly make deductions based on data. Even learning language, while innate, involves slowly recognizing patterns from a jumble of noise and generalizing patterns, generalizing meanings and rules from them. But somewhere along the line, many of us are turned off. We start taking the mysteries of nature and the marvels of technology for granted, and we lose that innate curiosity. Part of the fault lies with the way we teach science and the difficulty many scientists have in communicating their findings in a language that's universally understood. Much of what I say may perhaps sound a little utilitarian, but science and the pursuit of knowledge is also a thing of beauty. Poets and artists have reflected on the beauty of the night sky, but the images of space from the Hubble telescope speak for themselves. The double helical structure of DNA, the molecule that encodes our genes, has a beautiful simplicity and symmetry. And there's beauty and wonder right down to the atomic and subatomic level of matter. And as Feynman once pointed out, there's beauty in both the poet's and the scientist's description of a rose. At the same time, we scientists must not forget the human, emotional, and social side of our nature, and that there are other ways of looking at the world. We need to be aware of history and its lessons. Literature, art, and music move us in deep and unpredictable ways. So we have much to learn from the humanities and the arts. Festivals such as this, which bring writers and thinkers from all parts of human culture, will foster a great mingling of ideas, and all of us will be richer for it. I hope you all have a rewarding and productive time here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sir Venki, for that wonderful address. And I think we all owe a deep debt of gratitude to Ruth Bedell's grandfather, Charles Darwin. So thank you very much, Ruth, for being here.